Everybody, we're moving on to the most anticipated section of the entire thing here, the Ask Me Anything section, where the top performing moving business owners are coming on here, opening up everything, no question left behind, fully transparent, answering exactly what you want. This is the time to put in the questions. Please try to put them in on the question section so that we can formulate them and you guys can upvote them. Speakers, you can start coming on live, please. Again, the chat is fine. Totally fine, but I want you to put them in the questions if you can. We've already got a few questions in here. Brian, if you want to come to the stage here. Marcela, Allison, everyone's been introduced here. The only person that hasn't been introduced is Brian Slater. He launched and grew New City Moving quite a few years ago, and in their first year, they completed 1,800 moves. First year. So, yeah, and I didn't say that wrong. First year, 1,800 moves. They've got over 375 employees right now, 130 trucks, a wealth of knowledge and experience. And I'm personally super stoked to be having him on the panel today. Brian, thanks for being here. Everyone else, thanks so much for being here. Get the questions going. A lot of questions. Please don't hold back. They are ready to give as much value as possible. So I will take it away. I'm sure you've got some questions lined up, but the first one that I saw from Emmanuel was, what size moves do you schedule in-home estimates? How do you deal with scheduling in-home estimates? I'll let you take it away, James. You can have that. Take it away, James. I'm out of here.
We're going to give Brian the floor first with that. And while you're thinking about that, Brian, let me give all the other folks on here on the Brady Bunch Squares tips. Tip 1, if you're not talking, go on mute. Because you breathe into the mic, I breathe into the mic, we'll go on mute. So that's a great thing for our speakers. 2, Travis is going to feed me a ton of Ask Me Anything questions from the audience. I'm going to hit you guys with it. Brian, you're going to get the first question, and we won't always go all around the horn. Sometimes I'll ask Brian, then I'll go to TM, and then we'll take the next question. Not everybody's going to have to answer every question, okay? That way we get the most out of this. But Brian, you're up first. Take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you for the intro, Travis. I know one of my good friends, Eric Works, is in here. Shout out, Eric. So in regards to that question for the virtual estimates, we are a huge proponent of the Live Switch product. So I just wanted to give a shout out to James on that. And then in regards to this question in particular, what do we assign? Let's put it like this. Anything that is a studio, 1-bedroom or small 2-bedroom apartment, we would effectively quote that out over the phone with a full cube sheet. And then anything that would be a larger 2-bedroom apartment all the way up to a 6, 7, 8-bedroom house, we would effectively give the client that option for a real-time virtual estimate or an in-home estimate that we can schedule next day for them. We run about 5 virtual estimators, 2 in-home estimators, and about 62% of the revenue that we did in 2023 was touched by a virtual or an in-home estimator.
That's fantastic. Allison, why don't you follow up with that one? And then I'm going to do a different question. You're up, Allison.
We try to do as much as possible on site, especially in the off season. You have a higher chance of closing it. 1,500 square feet is what we drop down our on site to in the slow season. Typically, we're going to run 1,800 square feet in the busy season as far as quoting goes. It's usually a balance, though, as far as getting to them quickly. So on-site surveyor availability plays a factor as well.
Fantastic. All right, Tiam, we're going to go to you with a new question. The question from the audience is, what is your best networking process? And then, Marcela, I'm coming to you next. But Tiam, you're up at the best networking process.
Networking process, I would say really going to these events like March that's happening in the retreat. That's really the best place that I find that I'm able to network with, moving companies that are same-minded. They're looking to grow their businesses and they are looking to also network with other moving companies. That has been the best place and process that I've found where I can really find the best people to network with that are really kind of also open-minded, looking to share what they know about the industry. So that I would say is the best one. March, the retreat, Tighten Up Retreat.
Good stuff, Tiam. Marcela, you're up next. And for my speakers as well, we're going to keep our question answers pretty quick. That's not a knock on you, Tiam. You just did a great job, but nice and tight. Go ahead, Marcela.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, like Tim said, networking events are great to learn from other people, but also for businesses, I think for us has been hosting things for realtors, like meetings with realtors or lenders with realtors, going and taking them a little something and being able to plug in our business, and then also showing our reputation, right? There's no point in networking if your reputation isn't solid enough. So keeping your reputation up and giving a little back to realtors, lenders, and people in your industry.
All right, great. That's awesome. All right, Eric, you're coming up next, and you can phone a friend with Allison if you need to, because this one's a pretty big one. They wanted a clarification on sales team pay structure. It's still not given, so they'd like to bump this topic. Commission only versus commission plus base. What is the range, and what is the percentage you're paying?
Allison get granular on that, but like from a higher level, it's changed over the years. Depending on like what you can track on a very basic level that pretty much any company can do. We did a long time ago, we did a tier structure, and we incentivize people by the more they sell, the higher their commission would get. And then there's only so much of a pie. We have 100% of a pie to work with. And Allison kind of talked about this in our when we were on here earlier, is that we're a regulated state, and a lot of people have regulated states. Like I know Brian's in a regulated state, and some of us are, and some of us aren't. So we have a max tariff we can work with. So it's our percentage, our top tier percentage we pay out can only get so big before we cut into too much of the pie, because unfortunately, we can only charge so much, even if customers are willing to pay more. And as far as like kind of where we're at today, get a little granular, Allison can probably take over on that one.
Well, I think what everybody wants is like a number. It sounds like everybody just wants a hard number, right? So like, okay, so we do a 2-tiered structure. If you sell at a maximum tariff, like right up at the top of where we can sell, then you get a different commission than if you sell below that rate. And so I max out my commission structure at 8%. But we also don't pay on every line item. So you're not going to get it on, for example, like travel charge doesn't get commission, but transportation does.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Brian Slater, you're getting called out by the audience. They want to know, how did you find yourself with such an explosion in the first year with 1,800 jobs, as well as so many movers, as well as employees? Like, how did you do it in year one? Give us the secret behind your explosion. You're on mute. I'm sure you're on mute.
Many people don't know this, but I think Eric might be one of the only few people that know this. But in August of 2009, I effectively got approved for the license through the ICC, which is the regulatory body here in Illinois. And I had about $10,000 to my name at the time. So I drove to Indianapolis to look at a truck on Craigslist, and the truck was listed at $12,000. I had found out that the guy needed a hip replacement surgery, and that his copay would be about $5,000 for the surgery he was about to have. So I handed him an envelope for $5,000 cash on August 14th of 2009, and drove back, found an office later on that week, and paid the security deposit of $1,000, and then the rent for the first month. And I guess New City was born from there. From then, we never really we are not of the belief of taking bank loans. So basically, when we had one truck, we used the one truck to make 2 trucks worth of money. The 2 trucks would make 4 trucks worth of money. The 4 would make 8 into 16, 16 to 32. So we've never borrowed a dollar from a bank, because we just like to self-fund things. And I think that this particularly gave me, I guess when I talk to a lot of business owners, they try to escalate their businesses as rapidly as possible by leveraging other people's money in order to grow the business. But I think I was uniquely positioned, because when I had 8 trucks, I had 8 trucks worth of knowledge, intellect, and expertise about this industry. And then I guess I organically grew up from there. I had a slide pulled up here. So just to throw out some numbers, and this kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight, but you can look at like 2018, 11 million revenue, the next year, 16, 22, 25, and 26. So in regards to million of revenue. So there's a lot of things floating around the moving industry right now in regards to like people that know about this industry and are willing to syndicate their information. But one thing that I would like to say is, like, I don't believe there's any magic bullet to this thing. I do believe that you just have to grind it out. And there was 10 years of my life from 2009 to 2019 I wasn't going on dates. I wasn't going on vacations. I wasn't spending time with family. I wasn't enjoying holidays or Christmas. I just grinded the thing out all the way through. And then just having the knowledge of the P&L to know when you need different bolt-ons to your business. So like finding that fractional CFO and that fractional HR person prior to needing that person in-house, I think was a competitive advantage as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. Nothing beats some good old-fashioned hard work. You know what I mean? Sweat equity. All right, Tiam, you're getting called out next. Tiam, why haven't you gotten into long-distance moving in Canada?
I do think local moving is more profitable. And also, I had many conversations when I was working privately with Louis, and he always told me there's so much to still take advantage of in the local market. And that's kind of what happened with my franchising aspect. You know, I was able to kind of vertically grow within that aspect and just get other moving company locations and franchises that just do local moving and build a name with local moving alone. So I think that they're two different businesses, right? One of them being you grab 20 different customers, you bring them in storage, you put them in a big tractor trailer, and then you kind of drive it there. And I don't do long distance, but that's kind of what I know about it. And I've got straight trucks, so that's kind of the business that I'm in, and that's what I advertise for. And I've just found it that they're two complete different businesses, and you really need to know which avenue you want to walk down.
Thank you. Great, Tiam. Marcela, coming to you next. How do you overcome low ball estimates? And I'm coming to Eric next after this one too. I want to hear from two of you guys. Marcela, you're up first.
It's not easy, right? I think a lot of people are looking for a price, but a lot of the times that's really not what they're looking for. At the end of the day, you need to sell the end product, right? The end product is you're going to be home, everything is going to be assembled, and you're not going to have any headaches, and your move is done, right? If you have a conversation with someone on the phone and they tell you, hey, I got to estimate these like labor guys that will just unload my truck for you. Okay. Well, who's going to be home? Is it going to be your wife by herself with your children? You might not want some random guy that someone found on Facebook to come into your home, right? You might want someone who knows what they're doing, who's not going to scratch your walls, who's not going to just throw things somewhere. You want someone who's professionally trained. So the price, you can get a low price right now, but you're going to get a headache long term. That's how I sell it, with the end product, always remembering that usually it's a woman who's at home at the end of the day. So you want to send guys who are going to make her feel comfortable, and the move's going to be done, and there's no headache, and they're eating pizza at the end of the day, and they're writing you a 5-star review.
Great job. Eric, how'd you handle that when you got lowballed?
Well, I haven't done a sales call myself since 2017, but it comes down to your brand. And I've talked about this before. Like we eventually earned the right to not be the cheapest mover or compete on price. That was a really huge challenge in the beginning. I remember how frustrated I used to get knowing that we're worth so much more, but we're not going to convince someone that time, especially like if you have 10 reviews on Google. So our reputation plays a big factor in that. Like I think the fact that we're pushing dang near between 1,600 and 2,000 5-star reviews on Google definitely helps. Our value proposition, the message we're putting out there. Customers need to know, like, well, what differentiates you from the other 5 other people they're going to get a quote from. And also too, it's in your sales process, your closing process. Like I'm a big believer that like I should be able to walk in the sales department and say any objection, and we all probably have the same 10 ones in this industry, and then the sales rep be able to spit out the rebuttal to that, you know, and how well you can articulate that. It goes back to so many things I even heard on this conference today. It's really knowing your business, knowing your core values, knowing the core behaviors in the company. Make sure that the entire team understands this stuff as well. Know your value proposition, all the things that you can have in your company that gives you that ammunition. Because at our size, we can't afford to be the cheapest company. Like we want top talent, and that top talent costs money. So in order for us to be profitable, because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not here to run a nonprofit, we have to be one of the top of the market. And there's a balancing act too, because we get through that. Like Allison and I talk about this all the time. Like, it's more challenging in the off season. So what's that bare minimum? Like, what can we, if we have to negotiate down to, that we still justify the liability of doing the move? Like, just because I might make 3% NOI in a job doesn't mean it's worth the liability. So there's that balance there. Like, what's, like, when you know your cost of goods sold, like when you know what your break even is in a job, and every company's got to make that decision on their own. Like, hey, am I willing to do the job at this price if I have to, if the last ditch effort is negotiate on price? Is it worth the liability? Because let's face it, like, there's a reason why our insurance in this industry is so expensive. It's a high risk industry. Work comp's not cheap, especially if you're in the traditional insurance market. Work comp's not cheap. That's dependent on state. Truck insurance, auto liability, all the above is not cheap. So you have to find that, if you have to negotiate on price, you have to find like what's the best. And the problem is, and everyone, a lot of people relate to this, there's so many owners out there right now that would be better off giving the customer $100 not to do their move. They have no idea that every job they go on, they're making negative money. And that really makes it hard for us who really know what we're doing to compete with that, because it's like a race to the bottom. It's like they can't go bankrupt fast enough. And that sounds harsh, but that's the hard truth. And
well, we know the way to run a great nonprofit, right? Just go around lowballing everybody and not make any margin. Just do all your moves for free. That'll take everybody out of the business.
100% closing ratio if I sell it cheap enough.
I know, right? Might as well just do it for free. Anyway, that's great. That's a good, appreciate the response, Eric. Allison, you're up next. Let's talk about the space between, right? You booked the job and then the job isn't for a little while. The question is, how often are you doing pre-check-ins? How often are you touching that customer before you execute on the work?
So we have a pretty structured process once the sale closes. So as soon as the sale closes, our operations and customer service team is alerted. The next person to talk to that customer is usually within 48 hours, 72 hours of the booking. What we're doing there is the strategy is to get another set of eyes on it. So a lot of times a salesperson will, get really excited. They'll get in the moment. They'll go ahead and they'll sell stuff and maybe miss like a few packing materials, or they won't submit the crating request. And so we have that second set of eyes 48 to 72 hours after that. And then we pretty much leave the customer alone until, within 7 days of their move. At that time, we'll touch base with them. We'll confirm all of the details again. We want to make sure that everything that's in our paperwork is verbalized. We want it to be very transparent. How are you paying? What valuation option have you selected? Is there any special access conditions on move day? Do we need a gate code? We get all of that finalized really firm within that last 7 days. Other than that, occasionally we'll do like a virtual survey right beforehand. Let's say that we're moving a 5,000 square foot house and somebody told us that they were going to pack everything. Well, we might do a final check-in, right before the move so that we can be prepared for it. But other than that, those are the two touch points before we show up on move day. And we do have our guys call before they leave the warehouse, let the customer know we're on the way, find out if there's any last minute packing needed.
That's great, Allison. Thank you. Brian, the next one's coming for you. This one is, how have you adapted your business model in response to changes in the market and technology trends?
Yeah, so I think that's a good one. How have we responded in regards to the market? So I would say that we did a deal with a private equity firm to acquire almost all of New City Moving about a year ago in March. My response to the PE was that we were planning on increasing marketing, because at that point we needed to drive top line revenue. So we had this really, really robust talk in which, like, hey, you guys have been picking up quarters and dollars for the longest time, but now even if your ROAS is not 12.7 to 16%, you're going to have to pick up some of that 6 or 7 time ROAS in order to increase top line revenue and in order to increase overall profitability and increase that EBITDA number. So we spent, I think we spent about 25% more on marketing and advertising. So I think our total spend was $715,000 on 26 million. Now this year we plan on tripling that. And and just becoming an overall market dominator. I do want to say one thing about pricing. We actually reduced pricing quite a bit between Monday through Thursday because we kind of wanted to like choke out our competitors a little, and then we increased our rates quite significantly between Friday and Sunday. So this way we were taking away talent from other movers Monday through Thursday, so they couldn't give willful employment 7 days out of the week, and we sort of had a stronghold on all of our competitors' movers. So yeah, triple the spending is coming for 2024 in regards to marketing spend, and the other question,
technology change.
Technology change. Integrated live switch, integrated dial pad. Anybody that's still on Ring Central and is waiting 13 days to get a response on why their phone lines don't work, it's like use a B2B solution. If I'm going to be honest with you. And then I know that AI, or the word AI, gets thrown out a lot in this industry. I don't believe that there's a lot of true AI, so that's almost not worth talking about. But in regards to automations and drip campaigns and things of that nature, to answer a question that these guys were talking about earlier about confirmations, right? We've been leveraging things like technology in order to decipher what the consumer's profile is, so we can drip text them at different increments between booking and move day to offer upsell for value adds like storage and packing of things of that nature.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'll add a plug because this happened in our breakout room. Another technology trend is this little thing called Chat GPT. If you're not using it, and that is AI worth using. I promise you. Start learning Chat GPT, and a lot of stuff you have questions about, proposals. It can be keywords. It can be anything. Chat GPT will save hours of your life. I promise you that. Tiam, I'm coming to you next on the operational side of town. How do you ensure employees follow new systems that you're implementing?
Really, we've got managers that are supposed to really take care of that. But I would say definitely through training, definitely building systems and putting them through those trainings. We use Trainual, and we make sure any new process that is created is imported in there right away. And we put them through doing the tests and quizzes and relearning those new processes. And when they do the tests and quizzes, we know that they actually grasp what they're supposed to, and they understand, and they actually pass the test. Over 80%, we give them a pass. And we put the movers, drivers, dispatcher, operations with any new tasks. We put them in the Trainual back end here, and we just get them to redo it over again so that they can get full refreshment and also get the new topics that are in there as well.
Thank you. That's great. Marcela, I'm coming to you for another sales question. You did great with the last sales question, so I'm going to double down with you. The question here from the audience is, how many rebuttals do you carry for each objection? Or basically, hey, we're getting these objections. How am I getting my sales guys to not just say, oh, okay, they're not interested, next? How do I keep the conversation going and close the business?
I mean, absolutely. So we use Smart Moving. So obviously all our scripts are in there. But sometimes it's nice to give a rebuttal before you get the rebuttal. Okay. So say, for example, we get a call that comes in and the customer doesn't book they might not give you a reason. Sometimes they're just like, oh, I'm still looking around. Sometimes they don't give you an honest reason. We have a sequence of emails that get sent out to them. So if they didn't give us an actual reason, we send them an email like comparative, right? So if you're pricing other moving companies, this is what sets us apart. We were licensed and insured. Our trucks are wrapped. We've been in business for so long. Here are links to our reviews. We send them that one. And then later they get like, these are reviews. This is how great we've done. These are awards that we've won. This is how much time you'll actually save if we do it for you instead of you taking the day off of work, asking your buddies to come. We do like a comparison one. Like, what does it truly cost to move yourself, like DIY your move versus hiring us? So we send out these rebuttals through email. So they're getting them and we're changing their mind without them maybe even really acknowledging it. But always we have those rebuttals in Smart Moving. We try to do anything that we can. We always tell ourselves, you're problem finders. There's a reason why they didn't book with us. They might not tell you right away. You kind of have to find it. You have to listen for the words that they say. Is it a budget problem? Is it I don't know if you guys will do a good job problem? What is it? and address it immediately and find different avenues besides just telling them over the phone why we're the best, because everyone's going to say that over the phone.
Yeah, that's great. Eric, I think this next question will apply to you. If not, you can phone a friend. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about how you went from local moves to interstate moves. You know, if a company's thinking about going from local moving company and then starting to do more interstate moves, how did that happen? Or maybe that doesn't apply, or maybe you have some advice around that. This is just one of the questions we're getting from the audience right now.
I did. I got my interstate authority right away. One of the reasons why I did that, and I don't recommend this, is because I come from a van line background. I was an owner operator for years. I was a terminal service contractor. A terminal service contractor, like I ran a small moving company within a moving company. So I already had tons of experience on how to do that, the regulations, all of the above. I was basically the only side of the industry I didn't do when I was an owner operator or a terminal service contractor was I didn't do the sales side. I did everything else. But it's been said several times, and I'm also in agreement to this. There's so much money in local moving, and I mentioned this earlier in our last talk. Is like we stick to what we're really good at. And this goes to any level of scalability. Become an expert and get really, really good at one thing before you go on to something else. And I'm sure there are people out there that are on the other end of the bell curve that can prove that statement wrong. I'm just speaking from my own experience. Is that, and I know Tiam mentioned it a minute ago, is that like we get really good at one thing and then we move on to the next thing, because there's always a lot of systematization and documentation and processing to do, and we're always and documenting SOPs. It's like a never-ending cycle. It always changes. The bigger you get, like you're always adding or taking away, or what got you here won't get you there. It's just I swear you need an SOP just for the document SOP sometimes. So I'm a big fan of that. Like there's some people like just to scale and go after. I have 3 trucks here at another location. I'm not a big fan of that either. I'm like, master what you're doing, then move on to the next. And I'm sure there are people that have pulled it off, usually the hard way. But that works for me. That's why we stick personally. Like right now, we don't really mess with commercial moving. We do local, we do interstate, and we do storage. The end.
Well, okay, let's double down on this one. All right, this is one where I'm going to go around the horn because I want to see how everyone feels about it. I'm also thinking about this old saying: the person that tries to catch a lot of rabbits catches 0. You know, I don't know if you guys have heard that one before, but a lot of the questions I'm getting, I mean, literally, I'm looking at it right now. How have you diversified your business? Like I work with a lot of window washers as well here at Live Switch, and come Christmas time, they stop washing windows and they hang Christmas lights. You know, but to your point, Eric, you just said, hey, we go narrow. So Allison, I imagine you would echo what Eric's saying, but I think people want to know, where can I build some other revenue streams, if at all? Maybe the answer is don't. Stay focused. But Allison, what do you think about this? Do you just echo what Eric's saying, or anything you want to add to that?
I say stay focused. It's a distraction. It looks like it's a short-term gain, but keep in mind that now your staff has to know more. You have to have somebody manage it. You really have to market it if you want it to go anywhere. And so what you're doing is you're taking your limited resources and you're spreading them thinner for a hope of buoying up a little bit. I think that if you double down on what you're good at and you continuously put more and more effort, like Brian was saying, grinding it out into making that your moneymaker, your honeypot, like might not be the right, but then you can really get more for less, right? Instead of focusing on a new income line item, focus on how you're going to regain 5% from the bottom line.
I love it. And the reason we're going around the horn, because I think we need a little repetition on this. So I got 2 votes for stay focused. Brian Slater, do you agree, or are you going a different direction?
I am going to, what do you think, Eric? I'm going to agree. So I'm definitely going to agree. At New City Moving, we sell burgers, French fries, and Cokes, which is local long distance packing and storage. If you need to move a $500,000 piece of artwork, I'm not your guy. If you want us to disassemble your kids' really difficult gymnasium in the backyard, I'm not your guy. We stay really focused, and we did not roll out all these things at once because the methodology that we use at our company is if something's good enough, we don't need to artificially put money inside of it in order to sort of artificially grow it. So if our local moves have validity, we'll be able to purchase more trucks. If storage has validity, let's start it on a small scale and let's continue to titrate it up. If long distance has validity, let's put 2 trucks on the road and let that 2 trucks dictate where our P&L goes in the future, instead of just being the biggest local moving company in your area and thinking that you're Midas and everything you do is going to turn to gold. Why not treat every segment of your business like an individual startup?
And guys, the reason I'm tripling down, I'm telling you, the questions are all like this. Like, regarding small moves with single 4 or 5 piece items, I'm struggling with profit margin on these smaller jobs. Or maybe piano moves work for us. And you see, these
probably
are
not your customer.
Not the customer, right? TM, let's quadruple down on this. Are you going with the team, or are you going a different way? I think I know what you're going to say, but let's hear it, because I want everyone to hear, every single person on this panel hear it, so people can eject this from their minds. So TM, you're up next, please.
Thanks. I would definitely say stay focused on what you have to, what you're providing, but I will add something to this. If you can branch off to additional services, such as cleaning and, let's say, junk removal, without putting additional money on marketing, I would highly recommend it. So, for example, we offer cleaning services, and we've partnered up with a cleaning company that charges, I think, about $55. And they come out with supplies. They take care of everything. Just a very quick scheduling program that we share with. But we don't market. We don't advertise for cleaning. So we don't spend money on it. But when we book a customer and when we've collected a deposit, we'll ask, hey, are you interested in any cleaning services? And we'll go ahead and just book that on the side in their schedule. We'll charge $119 an hour. About $60 or so we pocket. We give them $55 or whatever their cost is approximately. So I like adding additional, branches of, different services, branching off to different services. But I don't agree that you should, start marketing for cleaning services, start advertising for cleaning services. You should really focus on what you can do. But if you can and have the availability to take advantage of additional services that already come with those customers, then great.
Awesome. And Marcela, I'm going to end with you. If you don't want to add anything else but a thumbs up or thumbs down, I'm also going to give you a question, a different question that's not related. Okay. The question is, how do you build a referral network specifically? And do you give commission for the referral? So question 1 is, do you agree with everyone, stick to and stay focused? And then question 2 is about the network and then giving referral commission. You're up, Marcela.
So I think you should become a jack of all trades. No, I'm just kidding. Stick to one thing. When we started in the moving industry, I get it. Right now it's slow, especially when you're starting and you're struggling. It's hard. It's so hard to turn down jobs when someone's just like, hey, how about you guys come and move whatever? I mean, we had people offering if our guys would paint their house. And sometimes you're struggling to keep hours for your guys. It's so, so, so tempting. But we had an interesting thing happen. When we first started, we didn't know. Taylor and I have zero moving background, right? So we were going across state lines. We didn't know what we were doing. We thought we had an MC number. We thought we had everything in line. And we had a competitor call us in. And DOT agent knocks on the door. We were freaking out. But Taylor said, listen, she's here. I'm going to sit her down and I'm going to ask her all the questions. What do I do? What should I not be doing? Let's use her as a resource, right? So what we thought was going to take us out of business and going to cost us thousands and thousands of dollars in fines was actually the knowledge and the blessing in disguise that we needed, where we were like, that's it. We're getting rid of our NC number. We're getting rid of this. We're just sticking to local. And I think that's a big part of why Busted Moves is what it is. I agree with Tiam. We do advertise other things on like TV mounting. It doesn't add any pressure to us. We have one of our guys who knows how to do it very well. At the end of the call, after all is said and done, hey, you got a couple of TVs, you need mounting? Because we have someone who can come by and do that for you, right? So we offer that. We try to squeeze all of those things out of that one customer, without adding to advertising dollars or having to hire outside or retrain our guys. Anyways, that one question that you asked
That's great.
about.
How do you build a referral network specifically, and are you giving referral commission?
Yes. So we are in Idaho, very small town. Pocatello, Idaho, very small. Our markets, we specialize in small markets. Okay. So that's how we're able to have 4 locations. And within these small markets, it's a lot of word of mouth. Word of mouth is so good, but we are moving into a bigger market and we do want to do more referral sources. So what we have started to do is we have a card that we call him our pavement pounder. He's like our business to business development guy. He has this card that he can give to real estate agents. It has a QR code on there and it's a gift card. So we figured out how much a lead cost us. And that's how much we give them off. So now this real estate agent can be like, hey, here's $100, here's $50, whatever it is that a lead normally cost us, they give that as a gift card. And that real estate agent will put their name on it and like to who it's for. So say it's the Johnson family. And then that's how we get it. And we're keeping track of these cards that are coming in and we're just sending them out a gift. Like we're not doing like 20 points gives you this and 40 referrals gets you that. You sent us so many referrals, we want to send you this iPad. We're doing things like that. We're just making it very simple. I think sometimes a referral program can get overly complicated, and if you don't have the time and you don't have the resources but you want to do it, just make it really simple for you to do it. I'm sure some of the bigger companies, that you can have this elaborate thing where someone's working on it and they're dedicated to it, and that's great. But if you're small and you want to start a referral program, start it and keep it super simple. Track it on Smart Moving and send them a nice little gift. They'll appreciate it.
Love it. Thank you. All right. I'm going around the horn again, but I'm going to put a rule on this question. Okay. Let me start with the question and then give you the rule. Okay. The question is, what were the key factors that contributed to your success in the moving industry? Now, the rule is if Eric says it, it's off the table. All right. So that way when we go around the horn, it's going to be all a bunch of these factors from a teamwork here. So Eric, you're going to get to go first and give us a couple factors that helped in your success. It can be 2 or 3 if you'd like.
Big picture. It's exactly the core values I live my life by. One is extreme ownership. One of the greatest things I ever did for myself was a long time ago. I looked in the mirror and realized that I was one of the biggest contributors to both the problem and the solution. So I take full accountability of my entire life and what happens. And then, Allison could contest to that too. I mean, if I mess up or I don't point the finger and blame. I take responsibility for what happens in my life and in course of business. Two would be integrity. Sometimes doing the right thing is not the easiest thing to do. We all, and as it relates to the moving industry, like we all have contracts and things that we go by, our fancy paperwork we use. And I would say just about every single time, like just because we're not obligated to do something because of the contract, it's the right thing to do. Like, even though, say for example, if the customer chose 60 cents per pound per article, but we're 100% responsible for destroying something that was very precious to them, we make it right. That goes with integrity. And next is like, my other core value in my life would be, altruism, having like selfless concern for others. I probably get big picture. I probably get about 20% back in my life of the 100% I give, but that 20% I get back is 10 times as valuable as 100% I gave, if that makes sense. And I try to do that throughout my entire life, and I try to instill that with the people I surround myself with. And I usually only hang out with people who kind of like live by the same values and principles as I do. Even they might not define them the same way, but no, overall, those are 3 big things that I contribute to my success.
Love that. Allison, you're up next.
So Eric had done a lot of the legwork by the time that I came into this company, but I can tell you that one of the things that I have seen that contributed to his success is giving your guys a path forward. giving the guys on the truck a way to come up, giving the people around you a chance to be successful. Just, reaching your hand down and helping the next guy up when you get up there. That's huge. It shows the people around you see that and they want to give more, not only for themselves, but because they can clearly see that they're working for somebody who cares and who isn't behaving selfishly. Because that nobody wants to work for a jerk, right? So that would be something I would highly, from my perspective, has been highly influential in the success of this company.
I love it, Allison. Thank you. Brian, you're up next.
Some people call it micromanaging. I, however, call it understanding intimately every area of your business. So I would say 10 to 12 hours per day was spent in the office, and then another 4 on Google. This is before the days of Louis Massaro, before the Moving Titan retreat, and before anybody was really sharing substantive information on the internet, and there wasn't these shortcuts. It was really imperative to just figure out that segment of the business that you did not understand, like finances or dispatch or QC or SEO or SEM or whatever, right? So you go home, you Google what you don't know, and you become obsessive about every single aspect of the business. And I think over the last 15 years, that's added to my success, because although I'm not the smartest person in the room about any one of those particular things, I at least have a seat at the table during every conversation, and I can add value. That's number one. And then just another quick one that I think should be said if people are listening is as your company continues to grow larger, this micromanage and understand everything intimately full circle, it goes away when you reach the 200, 300, almost 400 people level. So what do you do then? You reward those that have given you their all, and you bonus them heavily based on the things that they can control inside of the business. If you have a medium pizza, James, I can only give you 1 slice, I'm sorry. But if I have an extra large, I can give a slice to everybody on this call and make sure that everybody eats. So it's don't hold your purse book as close to your strings as the company grows, and generously compensate those people on the controllables that you don't have to monitor every day.
I love that. Tiam, keep adding to the conversation, please.
All right, you made it pretty hard with that rule, but I've got one thing I do want to add. Allison said something really good with the way to come up. I strongly agree with that. Currently, 12 of my franchisees were started from mover to being in the office, working through, let's say, operations, accountant, and now owning their own trucks, their own locations, and have moved to different parts of the country and are operating their own business. And I've got a few on this chat actually that are here watching and commenting that have found their way up, and they absolutely deserve that. So I just wanted to add that in there. But I would say that every different stages of the business, there were key components. Like in the beginning, sales and follow-up processes, building kind of sales strategies was really the first key component that allowed me to, multiply my trucks and get second and third locations and be able to grow the business. That was a really big point at that stage. And learning from mentors has been a huge help. And I always look at the people that are next level, and I always try to learn from them and grow to their level. And there's always a next level. Networking with people has, sometimes smaller companies, bigger companies, everybody's got something to teach you. And I always love hearing from people. And I've gotten one of my best operation processes from companies with just a few trucks. So everybody's got something to say. Everybody's got something to teach. We just got to be open-minded and learn from everybody. And then at this stage, the key component for me has been franchising. That has allowed me to kind of go to the next stage. And those have been the systems. These have been the key components.
I love that. Marcela, please add to the conversation.
Absolutely. So yeah, Like Tim said, you made it really hard with that rule. There was a lot of Brian's that I wanted to be like ditto, but for us, it has been reinvesting in our business to a significant amount, and it's hard, you know, when you're starting, it's hard to see that money and to put it right back into your business, but it will pay you back tenfold. I'm such a strong believer in that. Reinvesting back in your business, back in yourself, going to conferences like this, trainings like this. Listen, I'm a kid who was in special ed. I did not speak English. I struggled hard. I never felt like the smart one. I never felt like I could, you know? And to be in this panel with you guys here, I would have never imagined that. So continue to learn, continue to reinvest in yourself. You're not at the finish line. You're not at the finish line. Keep going. If you feel behind, keep going. And I feel like that's what's definitely set Bust and Moves apart. And that's what I love. And I appreciate the love from you guys. So that's been a big one. And I know it's been mentioned before, but giving back to our movers, we win, they win. Moving people up, you know, seeing that they can get to a different level. I love that they took a big leap by going with the startup. I'm going to reward them. Let's reward them. So those would be my biggest takeaways and what I would encourage everyone to do.
All right, Marcela, you're making everyone cry, but we love it. We love it. So now, I'll add one other thing you guys didn't say, because I've grown one of the fastest growing companies in America for 3 years straight. And what I'll say, when I go on the Appalachian Trail is a big hiking thing with literally snakes and rattlesnakes and bears. We have the saying, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Meaning if I take 1 lighter into the woods, I might as well take none. All right, I got to take 2 lighters with me in case I lose one, because fire is that important. Now, you may have somebody at your company that is a lighter, and if they walk out that door, you're in trouble. So my one thing to add to the conversation is make yourself redundant, meaning like train up that way. That way, the business is bigger than you. If you care about those employees, you can get hit by the bus, and guess what? It keeps going on without you. And that way you might be able to take a vacation for once or twice too, unlike Brian, who didn't take a vacation for 10 years straight, but he busted it and did a great job. So that was great, guys. I'm going to switch gears hard off of that and go back to the blocking and tackling. Eric, I'm coming to you because I think a lot of folks on this call deal with storage, right? So can you talk about any advice on using storage vaults in a warehouse versus pod style storages when getting into storage side of business? So can you talk a little bit about the storage side of the business, Eric?
When I got into storage,
back in my day,
yeah, I was utilized in the beginning. So like I went from 1,500 square feet to 6,000 square feet to 30,000 plus, and that was a huge jump. But one of the things that I did, and it might be vary state to state, is that I would utilize mom and pop owned, not corporate owned, but mom and pop owned self-storage facilities in the beginning when my little small 6,000 square foot warehouse ran out of space really fast. And I would accept all the liability on it. I would treat that just like I would a storage. And then I would keep accumulating moving pads, charge exactly the same rate. Of course, I'm not making as big a margin because I'm footing the bill to that storage cost. And that's how I grew my storage. So that way we were able to, and then once we were able to cover the nuts and make money on that very large warehouse, we just gradually moved everything over to the warehouse. And that's what I did. And I didn't have to worry about buying enough pads because I kept the queue. Kind of what I did a lot of the same things Brian did. Like I never borrowed money either. You know, I just kept, I live very below my means, very, very frugal. I'm financially disciplined to this day, and I just kept reinvesting back in the business. And that's kind of how I did that. I could be wrong on this, but I typically don't find storage profitable until you get around the more like the 10,000 square foot mark. Like the cost of anything, and it's probably different, but at least in my market and a lot of the markets in the Southeast, until you're about 10,000 square feet up, I don't see how it's you can't get enough vaults in there to turn the nuts on the rent and the utilities involved before. But like once you get above that, like I mean, at least for us, I mean, storage is the highest margin. It's the most profitable side of this industry. I mean, I freaking love it, especially like once the expense is done in storage. I mean, all that money every month is nothing but pure profit minus the utilities, you know. It's just sitting there collecting money. But that's kind of how I got into storage, was kind of going that fast. And even to this day, like, and every once in a while, like we are at capacity and we might rent a unit or two across the street, and for overflow. You know, we still do it to this day. That's a quality problem when your warehouse is at capacity. But that's kind of how I got into it, and that's kind of what led me to growth in now owning a warehouse today.
Thank you, Eric. All right, I'm going to switch gears hard again, and I'm going to start with Allison, and I might go around the horn again. And same rule. You cannot use what the last person said. All right. So I'm making it hard on you speakers, but it is what it is. This is
it's a game. It's a game show now.
It's a game show. That's right. The survey says, you know, come on, Brian. So Allison, you're first up. This is just a meaty question. What strategies are you employing to keep employees engaged and committed to the company mission? So not engaged, retained, all those beautiful things. Come on, Allison. This is a deep one, but give us a few tips.
Okay, so there's a book called The Carrot Principle. Highly recommend it. It covers how often you should show appreciation. You can maybe think that you show too much appreciation, but I don't think any of us has ever been told I love you too many times. So make sure that you're showing appreciation. Make sure you're doing it daily. If it doesn't come naturally to you, put a bunch of coins in one pocket and decide that day you're going to move a coin over every single time that you appreciate somebody, and you're not allowed to finish the day with any coins in the original pocket. Appreciation, 100%. We do it on our Slack channel. We do it in our monthly meetings. We do it weekly. That is how you're going to keep your best people engaged.
I love it. Words of affirmation. All right, Brian, how do you do it?
I think being raised in Chicago by a single mom, I'm uniquely positioned in order to understand like the plight of the situation of my movers. And although I don't follow any scripts or any book philosophies in regards to the like giving and receiving of love, I always put myself in their shoes, and I look for that breakthrough moment that we can have with every mover to make sure that I'm like that I'm getting past just the facade of work and I'm actually getting into something emotionally deep. I have a daughter with autism that's 5 years old. If one of my employees were to have a special needs daughter, I would show a special interest in some kind of common bond that we have. And I would say that historically, I have my most fun and my best conversations with the mover side instead of the sales side. So I think it comes more natural to me. And I'm less rigid about the decisions that I make and the things that I do for the guys, considering that I was that person that didn't have the bus money sometimes to get home.
Wow. Powerful. Lost for words. Sorry. Tiam, you're up next.
To be honest, the only people I do see right now is just the office people. I haven't probably seen movers in the last maybe 2 years. So I try to hire really good managers that are caring, and I'm hoping that they're able to show the care and love through that. And what they do is always request gatherings, barbecues, meetings, and things like that. And I always fund those to just kind of create like a home-like feeling for them, and they absolutely love it. They send me pictures. They always send me videos of appreciation. But with regards to movers, that's where I'm sitting at. But I'm in an office with maybe about 40, 50 agents that are just doing sales. We do a lot of bonuses. I do a lot of relationship building. I'm here now 10 to 12 hours a day. They really see me grinding with them. I try to kind of be in the trenches with them. And I'm here sometimes at 7, 8 p.m., listening to them, giving them that respect. I allow them to influence me so that I can one day influence them. I give them the respect so that I can also gain that respect one day from them. So yeah, respect, love, and those are the things that really allow me to kind of break those barriers down.
I love it. Marcela, you finish us up on this one, and then I'm going to start doing some quick hit questions going around because we've got a ton of them. So you're up next, Marcela.
All right.
Yep.
Absolutely. So for me, being engaged and having our employees be engaged, leading by example, right? So even though I don't go in the office much, when I'm there, I walk in, I talk, I say hi, movers coming in and out, make sure to say hi to them, and then providing meaningful work. Sometimes we might move someone whose spouse just passed away. We might move someone who's in a tough divorce situation. Our guys do a wonderful job. Sometimes the guys don't get to hear about it at the job, but they'll call the office. We've had people take pictures of it and a little note and send it in, and we make sure to let them know. I mean, for the most part, they know they're doing meaningful work out there. You're helping someone in a tough situation. But when we get a call, we'll tell them, oh my gosh, look, they said this, this, and this. I wrote down notes, just to let them know you really help somebody out. I think that helps them staying engaged. And another thing that we do that's fun, we always do competitions, right? So whether it be like what mover is going to get the most reviews, whatever it may be, we try to keep them engaged with that. And that seems to help. And it makes it really fun with the guys.
Love it. Thank you guys for all answering that. All right. I have quick hit questions for each of you. Okay. So Eric, you're up first. This question is valuation. Someone teach us how to profit off of this. So you've been around a while. So tell us how to do it.
God, we have a running joke in moving company ownership night that this question has been asked like 100,000 times. There's a lot of ways to go about it. Really and truly, you're selling on fear. You're selling on the worst case scenario. It's the same thing. Like why don't you want to have a non-licensed insured moving company who doesn't have workers' comp at your house doing your move? Because if that person breaks their leg, they don't have workers' comp. This is a little rebuttal feature there. There's a little free thing on overcoming an objection. Because if a road mover breaks their leg at your house, like they're going to sue you, It's the same thing. Like, is the odds of 1 in 200,000 of the truck getting destroyed down the road? Yeah, it is. But wouldn't you rather have that full replacement of that truck versus like $10,000 on 60 cents per pound per article? And it's different. Like I think in Chicago, Brian, it's like what, 30 cents per pound per article. You guys have a little bit different.
30 local and interstate 60. Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, like one of the key questions is like when you're talking to a customer. This is how I used to do it. Like I said, I haven't done a sale since 2017, but I used to always say, hey, in case of the worst case scenario, whatever the standard is $60,000 enough to cover a total loss? And then you make them think about it. They're like, oh no, like, well, what amount would that be? Oh, they'll say like $100,000. Okay, well, for $100,000, it's only this much. You're leading the person, and then really it's a valuation. You're selling on fear. Is what you're doing, because the odds of a catastrophe happening are slim to none, but they happen. There's a famous 2-minute truck story about the truck that rolled and killed that that poor kid. So they do happen, and it's just being transparent. It's being helpful. At the end of the day, like that's how we're selling. We're just being helpful and educating people and helping them with their problems. And what baffles me too is that there's so many movers who will sell this 60 cents per pound garbage and then just replace all their items for. It's like they don't even apply it. Well, if you're not gonna actually stick to the contract, you might as well at least sell the valuation and make money on it. If you're gonna do the other thing regardless, you might as well make money on it. But like, no, it's just part of the sales process. You're really selling on fear. I mean, that's how I did it. Just sell on fear and then educating the customer on it.
That's great. Thank you, Eric. Allison, you're up next with a different question. What is your opinion on seasonal promotional discounts?
I think that you should do what you need to do to make the cash flow necessary. So if in your market that's going to work and that's going to get you the cash flow to bridge the gap between the good times and the next set of good times, go for it. My only thing that I would say is run your numbers. I mentioned earlier, I love spreadsheets. Come up with a spreadsheet where you at least know your break even. What are you paying your guys? What are you paying to fuel your trucks? How much is your insurance? Break it down on a per job. I know I did 1,800 jobs last year. I'm just throwing numbers out. And I'm going to divide that by the total cost of my insurance for the year. And so I'm going to take that number and I'm going to say that that's how much my insurance costs per job. So do that for every single one of your expenses and figure out the lowest number that you can come down to, account for the claims percentage, and then all day long, use your discounts. Brian even mentioned it as a strategic advantage to chokehold the market and get his competition burned out. I mean, do what you got to do if you can do it.
Love it. Brian, you're up next. Different question. How do you measure geographic market opportunities and branching into additional cities?
Yeah. So what we would do is at the end of the year, end of the month, end of the quarter, we would do a post-mortem of all the moves that we've done from different zip codes. We would put those into a Power BI or a heat map. And then we would determine on a visual basis using both data and visual what markets were our highest performers and what markets have the ratio of highest population without us having market penetration in.
Thank you. Thank you. Tiam, you're up next. Best lead providers in Canada.
Because I'm Canadian, is that why you're picking on me?
Maybe.
Eric knows this one really well.
Eric.
Tell me, Eric. I want to know. What is it?
Tiam, you're up. Oh man, you got this.
Honestly, I like moving Waldo. I am on literally every city as the #1 recommended moving company, and they do provide really high quality leads for me. So I do like them. I do obviously use Google Ads, Google Guarantee, Google Map Ads. Those are always the #1 thing we do as soon as we enter any market. I do like SEO leads. I do like investing in SEO, as in a year or so you can really get your Google Maps in front of a lot of people if done right. So obviously, Travis does a great job with that. So yeah, I would say blog websites like Moving Waldo are great lead providers.
Thank you. Thank you. Marcela, a different one for you. How do you find long-term solid movers?
Timing in their life. This is a really good question. I'm not a professional when it comes to this. Taylor's really good when it comes to culture. We live in Idaho. Moving is just not a thing. We live in a state where people just roll up their sleeves, do it themselves, or they call the church. So it's not like we have like a pool of movers to really pick from. It's a lot of these guys, they've never moved before. I think there's something called Gilbert's Law out there. And I have to give all this credit to Taylor. He's always the one talking about this stuff. But he says an employee, essentially, who doesn't have clarity and doesn't know purpose will become unengaged. They'll move on to something else. They want to know what it is that they're doing, and they want to know that what there is that they're doing is good. No one wants to suck at their job. So we make sure that our guys have training. We make sure that they know what it looks like to be successful in a move and how to get there. And then we acknowledge that. And we try to get them to move up. We always want to move them up faster than we really can, but we really try to do that. And I feel like that's helped. We also have a really great culture of guys. We really lucked out with our first few hires. And no matter how good a guy may be, if he's not being conducive to the culture, we get rid of them. You just have to. People, negative Nancy's, anything like that, it's just a cancer to your whole organization. And it's just going to trickle down because people like to complain to each other, right? And misery likes company. So you really, really can't have that. And as much as it hurts, especially if it's the busy season and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to be short guys if I get rid of this guy, he will hurt you more in the long run. So letting them know how to succeed, good training, acknowledging them when they do well, and nipping it in the bud when it's negativity. That's what's helped us keep our guys. I mean, we've been in business for almost 6 years, and we've had guys with us for 5 of those 6 years.
Nice. Thank you. All right. We have time to go around the horn 2 times, and then we're bringing it in. You guys are doing great. Okay. Let's talk about bottom line, a cash cash money question for every single person. What, and again, you can't use the last person's answer. Sorry, guys. So the game show still goes on, Brian. So what exactly are you doing? Give examples to maximize profit. And everyone just take one, please. One thing that you're doing to maximize profit. Eric, you go up first.
Sell at the highest rates possible. And 50 plus things goes into that. That's one thing. I mean, that's like we talked about so many different ways today. It's sales solves all problems. The more money you can sell a job for, and there's a lot of things that goes into that, the better off you're going to be in all facets of the company. Everybody wins, company wise. The more money you can sell a job for, and the more jobs you can sell.
That's right. No more medium pizzas, right, Brian? Only extra large to go around. Allison, you're up next.
This was to increase profit.
Yes, to maximize your profit. One thing that you're doing. Yep.
So I'll flip on the other side, know your cost of goods sold, and I'll narrow it down even further and say your labor percentage is a really good one. If you do sell a job but at a lower tariff, like make sure that you're not sending out your most expensive guy on that job. Just be aware when you're dispatching of who the right person is for that job based on what it was sold at and the complexity of it.
Thank you. Brian.
All of your fixed cost by percentage continue to go down drastically as you convert at a higher clip and increase your top line revenue.
Okay. Do you want to explain that to me like I'm 5, just in case I missed it?
So we have fixed costs that are associated with like driver, helper, payroll, the cost of your salespeople, the cost of your rent, the lease on your trucks. And basically, the higher that your revenue number gets by way of increasing your booking percentage, either on the phone, on virtual, or in homes, the higher that conversion becomes. Like the people that won 2023 are converting at a higher sales conversion, thus increasing their volume of moves, thus increasing their top line revenue. And if you have a rent in your location that's $1,000 on $10,000 worth of revenue, that looks like 10%, right? But if you do $1 million worth of revenue, that looks like 0.1%. So higher conversions lead to higher top line revenue, lead to lower percentage of fixed costs on your P&L every month.
Thank you. Tiam.
All right. Yeah, so as I mentioned, branching off to different services without spending additional marketing. Raise booking percentage by training and having quality assurance. That has really helped us a lot. And get rid of unnecessary employees. That's always, there's always some people that you find are not meant for their role, and that's always an important one. And fix your advertising, as I mentioned earlier, negative keywords and reducing the radius of your advertising can really give you the right type of customers instead of wasting a lot of clicks for customers that might not want to do business with you. So fixing advertising is a big one for me.
All right, close this question out for us, Marcela.
James, you're picking on me because you always pick me last and everyone always says the good
Don't worry,
answers.
you can go first next time. I'm going to switch to order.
Okay.
Last name. Don't worry, it's the last name. Go ahead. Yes, I'm picking on you.
Okay. So it sounds so simple. Just do good work. Do good work will get you referral customers, right? You spend less money on advertising because they don't have to see your ad to call you. Their Aunt Patty told them about you because they saw what a great job you did. That to me, just do good work. It's very basic. Another thing that we're doing, especially right now during the slow season, is really, really nurturing leads. Providing, if they call us, whether they book with us or not, I want them to know like, hey, they had a lot of answers to a lot of the questions I have. I might not be able to afford them right now that I'm moving into a rental, but you know what? Next go around when I'm moving into my big house, I'm going to call them. So really nurturing the leads, emailing them, and calling them with things that they're needing, right? Not just being like, hey, calling to see if you're going to book now. Did you talk to your husband? Did you whatever? Being like, hey, here's this list. Go check out this. Oh, if you're moving to Twin Falls, Idaho, here's a list of really great places you should go check out so you can get familiar with the area. And then that way you're a resource to them. So in the slow season, we really nurture, but throughout the year, just do good work.
Love it. Okay, you get to go first. You asked for it. You get your wish. What we're going to do with the last 30 to 60 seconds that everyone gets, you're going to give us your final word. Just one thing maybe we didn't cover, one thing you had hoped, man, why didn't they ask me that? But you get 30 to 60 seconds to say your final piece. And we'll start with you, Marcela, please.
I didn't want this one now. Just kidding. I think if there's anything you're going to get out of this from me is please go read Systemology. Please, 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 please read it. Get it for your team. Don't give it to them to read. They won't read it. Go get it for them on Audible. It has revolutionized our business. I know systems sound so complicated. They're really not. Like I said before, you're already doing them. I promise you. Go check out Trenual. You could get certified to be like a trenuologist for free, for completely free. The gal that we hired to do all the training and stuff, she went off to college, but I was like, girlie, stay and reach out to moving companies and tell them that you'll systemize it for them. And you will make so much money. She's chasing her college dream. So when that doesn't work out for her and she comes back, I'll refer her to you guys. But read Systemology, get your systems in. I promise it's going to take you to the next level. That would be my biggest takeaway.
All right, Tiam. Thank you, Marcela. Tiam, we're going in reverse order, so you're up.
All right. We're good. All right. So my number one thing that has definitely changed my life, I would say, was learning from mentors, learning from Louis Massaro, learning from other individuals. You know, these retreats that we're going to be attending are a great place to learn from others, get motivated, network with people, because you get to fall into that mindset and fall into that lifestyle of just wanting to be better every day, wanting to do better every day, wanting to take your personal life, your company forward. And that's just the best path to be on. So I strongly recommend everybody definitely fall into that line. And yeah, network systems are great. And also read Spin Selling. That's been a really good book that I'm starting to read. And I'm like in the first chapter and I'm already loving it. So I would really recommend that.
It's a fantastic book. I've read it myself. Mr. Slater, last word.
There's no magic bullets in the moving industry. So if you want to recession-proof your business, and I'm not telling you what to do with your money, don't buy a fucking sports car. Put the money in the bank and prepare yourself for down markets, number one. And then number two, if you're getting 8% of the market, why not just put it back to your in hiring and recruiting good people, putting more trucks on the road and buying more leads? Because there's 141 people in here and nobody would get less than an 8% return on money put back into scaling their business.
Thank you. Thank you. Allison.
I'm sorry I said the F word.
You're forgiven. Allison.
I would say find ways to let go. You need to surround yourself with people you trust that are skilled. You're hopefully going to find people that are more skilled than you are, but you need to be willing to let them make mistakes as they grow. Because if you are trying to keep your hands on everything, then you won't ever let anything get to its full potential. Jackie was on here earlier. The Growth Paradox is the book that I've been getting into, and it's awesome. It talks about this organization where you're at the center and everybody reports to you, and what that looks like. And I highly recommend that book.
Thank you. Eric, close us out.
Hang in there. This is for the majority. This is a hard time. This is a hard industry to be in right now. Look at this as a blessing. Everyone who comes out of this is going to be a better version of themselves. I've had a very hard life. And when I look back at my life, The greatest gifts in my life today are a result of the trials and low spots and sometimes trauma that I've been through. And it's, I'll share this too. Like, Allison has a very hard job. And in the little inside joke we have is sometimes, we'll talk and she'll tell me about things she's going through. And I tell her, man, how fortunate she is because of how amazing of a leader and CEO she's going to be. She already is, but even better that she'll be on the other end because she has this role, which is a tremendous amount of responsibility during one of the hardest times to have that role. And I'll get with that.
Thank you, everybody. Travis, back to you. The team is here. We're done. I think we're a little pooped.
Everyone give threes in the chat to thank the Ask Me Anything panel, guys. Thank you so much. You guys can exit out of here. Appreciate you being here. Guys, we have come to the end. Don't leave yet. I have some important stuff to share with you. Here's how you're going to end well. Number one, choose one takeaway and execute. This is not worth your time if you do not take one thing and take execution on it later on. Every single person who spoke, who's on the panel, would agree. Number two, if you thought this was valuable today, it can be more valuable. And I'm not a feedback guy. I always ignore this. I'm asking you and begging you, speaker or not speaker, we legitimately are building this online conference for you guys. Tell us what was great. Tell us where we can get better. It's anonymous. You are anonymously giving us information to help you in the future build better businesses and create more value. Again, tag and give testimonials on @moversconference.com. And again, you will get a recording if all goes well to send out next week. So again, please execute. Take one action item. Execute on that. Please, please, please. And then please just take a screenshot right here. Take your camera. Get that feedback in right now. If you guys thought this was valuable, please say thank you to the speakers. Reach out to them outside of this. You can please do the one thing, and that is give feedback so we can make this better and get this better for you guys. Again, take action. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to leave this on the screen. Good luck. Continue to be here. If you guys have any questions, every single one of these speakers is open and ready to communicate. Have a wonderful evening, and thanks for your time today, guys. Thank you so much.